Respawn just posted a brand new blog about matchmaking, and their results of a test they've been running to try to make matchmaking better, as well as them talking about improving solos and duo matchmaking. And also, we got a brand new patch yesterday, which fixed something very weird that kind of makes me think World's Edge is going to be the next map to be updated. We'll touch on that in a minute, but first, the matchmaking blog. As Respawn have plans to make ranked not so torturous, Respawn start this blog in a cozy way by saying, welcome back to the latest Apex Legends matchmaking dev update. Grab a comfy chair, your favourite warm beverage, and settle in for our latest update. In this blog, we're going to cover a refresher of key matchmaking concepts, test results for our recent matchmaking test, matchmaking health motivated duo changes, things you can possibly do to improve your matchmaking experience, and what's next for matchmaking, which is obviously a big part of the game. Respawn then start on the matchmaking key concepts refresher, where they basically just explain their aims of Apex matchmaking. And basically, I'll condense this section. The fundamentals of matchmaking are, Respawn want to put you into a game with similar skilled players in a fair amount of time, so you're not waiting ages for a game. Although, at times where Apex has a lower player count, like in the middle of the night, it's harder to get people into fairer lobbies, as they don't want to have you waiting for ages to get into a lobby, but also want to have you in a lobby with similar skilled players, which there's less of when there's less people playing. With that over, let's look at the test results for the Season 26 mid-season update ranked matchmaking test, which they announced around a month ago, and now we have the results. Respawn say, now that we're all caught up, let's review the matchmaking test and see the results. This was our second test attempting to remove Masters tier, which includes Apex Predators, from matchmaking with Platinum players and below. In this test, which ran for under 2 weeks at the end of Split 2, Master players were only able to match with other Masters and any division of Diamond, so Diamond 1 to 4. But during this test, it was impossible for Master and Prep players to match with Plat players. But Respawn did mention, in this test, they were open to players waiting a bit longer for a fair game. So, was this successful? Well, Respawn said, this test successfully limited Masters matchmaking as intended, and did not negatively impact queue times or skill width. When this test was run, our queue time and skill width were already near our targets, so they didn't move much as a result. We are optimistic about what we've learned, and we're eager to make improvements that can impact the overall seasonal matchmaking experience, not just at the end of the season. The ranked tuning changes in Season 26 increased the effort required to achieve higher tiers, resulting in lower than previous populations in Diamond and Masters. These lower populations pushed matchmaking at these tiers to the upper limits of what we consider acceptable queue, weights, and match skill width for the ideal player experience. As a result, players outside of Masters experienced similar matchmaking before and during the test. One big takeaway for us from these last two matchmaking tests is that our ability to more aggressively adapt matchmaking to shifting populations could create more consistent experiences over the course of the season. We'll dive more deeply into this challenge and resulting opportunity below. So before we go on to the rest of what Respawn have to say, it does seem like this test was successful and with some more modification could become the solution to stop Masters and Predators getting into lower tiered games. Respawn said, this graph shows the percentage of players in each rank tier per day over the course of Season 25. Diamond was hitting about 20% of total players near the end of Split 2. This population is what allowed us to more easily restrict Masters to play against only Diamond 1 players. When we compare this to the distribution across Season 26 below, there's a dramatic difference in the populations of the higher tiers. In Season 26, the population that achieved Masters was 1/3 of the total seen in Season 25 due to RP tuning, as well as the introduction of drop zones. With fewer overall players achieving the higher ranks relative to the larger Apex player base, players experience longer wait times when matchmaking is restricted to only Masters and Diamond. Considering these populations start low, they must be mixed with lower tier players to be able to play at all. As a result of these learnings, we will be looking on how to better adapt matchmaking to maintain match consistency based on shifting populations, and we'll keep you updated as we move forward with the next steps. So far, this is pretty hopeful. Next, Respawn talk about solo queuing. which I'm sure you're all very interested to hear about because solo queuing into squads can be very frustrating sometimes. Respawn say a consistent request we hear from our community is to address the solo queue. There are two distinct flavours of the underlying frustrations that lead to this request, which are, it feels unfair to be matched against a pre-made squad, and as a solo player, I don't like the squad mates I get assigned. The typical solution proposed as part of these conversations is to have solo squads only be in matches with other solo queue squads, and pre-made squads to only be in matches with other pre-made squads. The suggestion is a good one, in a world where there are enough solo queue players and pre-made squad players to keep the matchmaking close to where it is now. The very rough, back of the napkin math shows reducing our population by 50% by splitting solo and pre-made players, assuming a 50-50 balance between the two will double the wait queue times and skill width of the matches for each population. Duos is living proof of this occurring, which we'll speak to next. So in short, we're currently choosing not to split out pre-mades and solo queuers into their own matchmaking and matches, as we feel it would too dramatically increase queue weights and match skill width. They do then talk about squad mate quality, but nothing really of substance, and then they say in the meantime we encourage solo queuers to take advantage of the requeue with squad feature to keep that great squad together for as long as you can. And then they talk about a bit of a controversial thing: duos, BR and matchmaking. If you're not aware, lately there's been a lot of criticism around duos due to recent changes where Respawn halved the size of the lobbies and made the games basically start halfway through. Respawn said, more context on the recent duos changes have been highly requested, and we thought it would be most beneficial to explain the changes in the context of matchmaking and player populations. As a quick recap, the lobby size of duos was reduced to 30 players and the rings on the map were adjusted to keep match pacing aligned with a 60 player experience. So why was it done? Well, it comes down to population. When Wildcard launched, many players migrated to that mode and made it their new regular stomping ground. As a result, over half of the previously active Duos players stopped playing the mode and never came back. By the way, that is crazy. We have seen some theories that the drop is a result of UI changes, but we can confidently point towards Wildcard's introduction, which many people actually said they experienced. This had a significant negative impact on the quality of matchmaking for the remaining Duos mains. In some cases, it roughly doubled queue wait times depending on the region and time of day. After evaluating the data, the difficult decision was made to modify the modes, maximum lobby size, and maps. This was the solution that provided the most confidence in how to rapidly and one focused change restore the previous matchmaking quality in duos. The duos population is now stable, as is the matchmaking width and queue wait times. Given the current stability, there are no current plans to revert duos to a 60-player lobby. We've been gathering and sorting specific feedback around the current duos experience and will be evaluating it as part of our future plans for any opportunities to address concerns inside the 30-player experience. And to wrap this blog up before we go into the patch notes from yesterday, Respawn said, as we move forward into future seasons of Apex, we will continue our commitment to listen, evaluate and take action to address concerns from player feedback and our data analysis. We always appreciate the feedback and sharing of experiences, so please continue to engage with us on socials. For what is next up for matchmaking, we're looking at creating a more consistent matchmaking experience in ranked for the entire season for all ranked tiers, activate hard limits to prevent masters from playing with platinum when masters and diamonds reach the required population, increase maximum queue wait times for higher ranked tiers to increase the opportunity for them to match with their own tier, and faster and narrower matchmaking by testing emerging select populations while minimizing performance impacts like ping. As we take these actions, expect more updates across our official channels. We hope you enjoy the current season and we'll see you in the arena, which is great. So Respawn are still progressing. It's not perfect at the minute, but clearly the tests are going well, and it is nice to see Respawn be transparent about this. As well as this blog, yesterday they posted some patch notes where they said, heads up legends, we made the following changes to @ApexLegends. I don't know why they tagged an account that doesn't exist, as Apex's Twitter tag is PlayApex, but there were map fixes, so now World's Edge no longer has that blue tint, which I pointed out a few weeks ago. I don't know why they did this, but also World's Edge had an issue where you could climb through a certain window by crouching, and they fixed this, which movement players weren't very happy about. But the fact that World's Edge had two mysterious changes, I do really think they are priming an update for it in the future. This type of stuff usually happens when they're getting ready to do map updates. You start seeing weird glitches across the maps, but that's just a guess. Also, on Broken Moon, Respawn restored several missing ziplines across the map. For audio and UI, Respawn adjusted Rampart package and Mythic bin icons to be more visible for the Supersonic event, and they also fixed some server crashes when opening packs and entering matches, and corrected the Super Glide bug, so you'll now be able to mantle boost over obstacles when crouched. So Respawn have pushed out a pretty solid fix, but I honestly think World's Edge is going to get something in the future. After reporting on news for this game for so long, I think these are telltale signs something's going to happen. But then again, nothing ever happens, so what do I know? You might want to subscribe though to keep updated with World's Edge stuff and also matchmaking improvements.